between Iowa Central and Richard Bland. That'll be a good one. 4 versus 5, the Tritons and the Statesmen. That'll be here on court 2. Over on court number 1, the top seed Johnson County Cavs against Grand Rapids. The 1-9 meeting. Grand Rapids, the only team to pull a quote-unquote upset based on seeding position. They were the 9, knocking off the 8 Illinois Central. Everything else held to chalk. The 2 versus 7 matchup here of Parkland and Kirkwood, and then Cowley and Scottsdale, 3 versus 6. Chloe Bird again off the block. Bounced out of play from there. As Kershey and Tegler were no match on that attack from Bird. Blaze, big swing on the serve, dug by Marshall. Kershey into the net. Off the pass from Embretson, and Parkland doing what they did in that second set. Let's start to create a little gap here at about this midway point. The timeout for Jill Williams has not paid off at the moment. 2 straight points for the Cobras out of the little stoppage in play. Blaze gets an ace serve. Kat Blaze with her 75th ace serve of the year. That's where she's made that improvement. 14-8, the lead up to 6. Marshall dives down to dig this one. Embretson, left side for Hearn. Blocked back up front. It was Robin. Kept alive by Tegler. Now Kershey, a roll shot over the block, dug behind. Clausen for Bird. Marshall back over the net to Blaze. Clausen, middle, Robin. Overhead dig Embretson. Marshall back over to the right side. This Kershey sailed it long. And the run continues for the Parkland Cobras. Jill Williams up off the bench. Is she going to burn it? She is. Her second and final timeout. Her first one did not result in any side out like she wanted from Parkland. Instead, the Cobras have built their lead up to 7 here in the third, needing just 10 more points to move on to tomorrow night's semifinals. You're watching the NJCAA Division II Volleyball Championships on the NJCAA Network. It took 5 sets earlier this year for Parkland to knock off the Kirkwood Eagles on the Eagles' home floor about 6 miles away from here at the Alliant Energy Powerhouse. But the way this third set's going, it's not going to take 5 here tonight. Blaze out of the timeout, the second and final one of the frame for Jill Williams, and unable to be returned by Kirkwood. Embretson had to lay out for a pancake off the pass, and it came up and hit Lexi Hearn right in the grill. Kat Blaze has herself 3 ace serves tonight. Here she gets a good dig. Bird, roll shot to the back row, dug by Hoff. Embretson for Hearn, and it did not catch the block. It took a weird carom off to the left there. I thought it must have hit something. I don't know if they suggested that it hit the tape or what it was, but it just kind of had an odd angle to it that didn't seem like it came right off the hand of Hearn, but tough to tell. Here, did that one hit the block? It did not. It hit the tape. The lead is 10 for the Cobras. Blaze off the top tape. Good job by Embretson to look back for that one. Kershey blocked back. Embretson over to the middle. Tegler on 2. Missed it long. Kirkwood thought there was a touch. There was not. Man, this for Parkland, this score was at one point here tied at 8. And now here we are 11 points later, and they've all gone the way of the Cobras. Bird, and it's down off Hearn. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. We have a net violation call on Embretson. Kirkwood now hitting in the negative 0-13. Parkland up to 321. Cobras just 5 away from a semifinal Hearn, the 10-foot line. Crosser dug by Bird. That will finally end the run at 12-love Cobras. Josie Hess was getting bored over there. She replaces Kat Blaze. Emma Link and number 9, Justson, check in for Kirkwood with Hoff and Tegler out of the match. Link's serve is dug by Hess. Clausen looking Bird's way again. Off the block and out. They get it right back. No run for the Eagles. Schulte checks in for DeFosse. And it will be Ava Clausen to serve. Dug by Marshall. Embretson sets middle, blocked back on the attack. Justson. Marshall back to the right side. Urshi, a free push to the back corner, handled there by Pasha. Bird, one more time. No, that's long. Just Chloe Bird's third kill error of the match. To go along with 18 kills on 28 attempts. She hurt him in the earlier season matchup. We talked about 14 kills against Kirkwood, and for whatever reason, she's just got the Eagles' number. Clausen for Bird. Off the tape, stayed in play, played by Arrett. Marshall, left side for Hearn. Now that one comes through the block attempt of Robin and Schulte. Home crowd's trying to fuel that Kirkwood team a little bit here. Trailing by 10 here in the third set. Hess's pass to Clausen in the middle. Schulte missed time to jump a little bit, was able to just get those fingertips on that molten volleyball. Morris punched up by Hess. Clausen reaches back, and a roll shot for Chloe Bird, missing that back corner. Our line judge had great eyes on it, and Cliff Hastings, despite holding a 9-point advantage, feeling that Kirkwood starting to grab a little bit of that momentum. They've scored the last 4 points. Goes ahead and burns his first time out. You can't take him with you to the semifinal if they do go on to win here, Parkland. So you might as well gather your squad over on the sideline. 21-12, Cobras lead it. Scottsdale's making it interesting over on court number 2 in that third set. They've got a 19-17 lead against Cowley, trying to force a fourth. Here, Kirkwood's going to have to do some digging to try to get to that point themselves. Bird reaching up high, tipped it over the block, but backed up by Arrett. Here, Morris tried to push over a free ball. Robin blocked it back. Clausen back near the net, kept alive by Robin, and Hess's punch didn't get back up over the nylon. Point to Kirkwood. 21-13 Cobras. That will keep Gracie Arrett back there serving. As the lefty with the jump serve, as it dug by Hest. Clausen, left side Bird. Good dig, but it's, saved right by the scores table. I wasn't sure if they were going to run out of real estate or not. Lexi Hearn. Robin blocked back, and how about that Kirkwood defense? Coming up with a point right there. That's what Jill Williams has been asking for all year long. Bird rotates out. In comes Schupbach as Coach Hastings goes defense for offense here. Arrett will serve. Dug by Hess. Clausen looking to the left for Schupbach. Try to go crosser. Put it in the net. Hang on a minute now. Kirkwood has scored 7 straight. After a 12-0 run for Parkland, it's down to a 6-point deficit for the Eagles. Cowley just took the lead 2019 over on court number 1. Middle set, tipped around, missed wide. Did Schupbach, and Cliff Hastings going to go take that second and final time out of the frame. Eagles have forced the Cobra headman to burn both. They've got it back to within 5 on an 8-0 run. Volleyball, very much a game of runs, very much a momentum sport. starting to swing that way over to the Eagles side of the net. You're watching the NJCAA Division II Volleyball Championships on the NJCAA Network. And right there, a good one though for Kirkwood, one they needed, 9-love for the Eagles. But the lead goes to 5 for Parkland at 22-17. With Bree Struck checking out, and Ellie Schupbach will serve. Kayla Pasha has also returned. Schupbach's serve, dug by Hearn. Middle set for Morris, the lefty. Diving save, Clausen. Reaching back, Schupbach, a free return to Kirkwood. Tumbling over there is Link. Free return as well for Justson. Clausen, right side. Blocked back up front. Hess back towards the net. Schupbach could not play it from there. It was Hoff. No, it wasn't. It was number 6, not number 8. Lexi Hearn, who got that block. Kirkwood within 4 at 22-18. Here's Marshall. Dug by Schupbach. Clausen. Middle for Pasha. That's in. Kayla Pasha had a big match against Cape Fear. That is kill number 9 for her now here in this quarterfinal. Back in, Cat Blaze, Parkland 2 points away from moving on to tomorrow night's semifinals. Left side, right side, I beg your pardon, for the lefty Morris, who hit one off of the Cobra back row. Now Hoff is going to come in, as is Tegler. Scottsdale and Cowley are knotted up at 21 over in the third set on court number 1. Those are the two teams matched up with these two right here on court 2. Hoff. Dug by Hess. Clausen looking to the middle for Pasha towards the donut. Handled by Arrett. Marshall's going to set it up. A pass came a little too far forward for Dusterhoff. Pulled her too close to the net. Unable to make a play. Match point for the Parkland Cobras. And a date tomorrow night at 6:30 right back here on court number 2 with a suitor to be determined. The serve. Overhead dig by Kirkwood's Dusterhoff. She gets the set from Arrett. Free return to Hess. Clausen looking for Pasha. That's off Marshall. That will be that. 25-19. The Parkland Cobras continue their magical run they've been on here since their last loss back on October 7th, winning their 16th straight. They have now won 48 out of 50 sets during that streak. 25-21, 25-14, 25-19 against the Kirkwood Eagles. You can go ahead and Sharpie Parkland in to tomorrow night's semifinals. 6:30 against the winner of that Cowley and Scottsdale match happening right now over on court number 1. If you want to flip on over there, Joel McCall, my colleague, has the broadcast of the Tigers and the Fightin' Artichokes. See how that one shapes up. Cowley with a 2-0 advantage in the match, but Scottsdale leading 23-21 towards the latter stages of that third frame from what I see. Some final stats here. Parkland hits 248, Kirkwood 033. You have 5 ace serves for the Cobras, 3 for Kirkwood. Blocks 6 and 4 for Kirkwood and Parkland respectively. Leading the way individually for Kirkwood, Ava Morris with 6 kills, 15 assists for Gracie Arrett. And for Parkland, the 18 kills of Chloe Bird, who hit 438 in the match. Ava Clausen, 22 assists to pace the offense in that department. So Parkland improves to 54-2 overall. Kirkwood drops to 35-9 on the season. That will be it for this one between Parkland and Kirkwood. Next up, here on court number 2, our nightcap of a 6-match day here in Cedar Rapids, where we'll see the 4-5 of Iowa Central and Richard Bland meeting to also make it to the semifinals, just as the Parkland Cobras have. Again, over on court number 1, Cowley and Scottsdale. Right now, with Scottsdale holding set point, trying to force a 4th over there. We'll see you next time, whenever that might be, right back here on court number 2, as you've been watching the NJCAA Division II Volleyball Championships on the NJCAA Network. Iowa Central Tritons. Glad to have you along with us. It's really a little bit behind schedule, right? What is this? Was scheduled for a 7:30 first serve, so an hour and a half. I mean, come on, that's not too bad with 5 matches ahead of time, right? We've had some absolute thrillers here today in the Powerhouse. Just wrapping up moments ago, one of the quarterfinals over on court number 1 between Cowley and Scottsdale. The Cowley Tigers, who last year were the runner-up, falling to Parkland in the national title match, they lose in 5, a reverse sweep. Richard Bland entering 31-3, Iowa Central 35-5. Very close in proximity with these numbers. The hitting percentage off by about 50 points in favor of the Statesmen, and those points per set, 19 almost for Richard Bland, almost 18 for Iowa Central, both winning in 4 sets earlier today. The Statesmen of Richard Bland over McHenry County in 4, 25-20, 25-15, 27-29, and 25-18 the final frames there for Bryden, who joins her on the sideline as one of her assistant coaches. Made the move over to Richard Bland and has them back here at the national tournament for a second straight season. After last year, this program made it here to Cedar Rapids for the first time ever in program history to the national finals. Last year they finished 9th, and they will certainly surpass that here. They've already clinched that, having won their opening round matchup today. As for Terra State, they finished 6th last year. For Iowa Central, this is their 3rd straight national appearance. They took 4th place in last year's event. It will be on the right-hand side of your screen in the black. That is Richard Bland. In the white on the left, that Iowa Central. Looks like the Statesmen have first serve with Kerrigan Durko, one of the transfers from Terra State, following along with Coach Champagne over to Richard Bland. Freshman with 40 ace serves on the year. She tosses that volleyball up high for that jump serve. Good dig by Hayek. Madlock left side going Steffes' way again. It was blocked back, apparently. Getting a piece of it, Haley Hopkins up front. And Steffes gets rejected that time on the attack. Now that's certainly an area to watch in this meeting. Richard Bland is middle of the pack in blocking. Tied for 52nd on the year in total blocks coming into the championships, whereas Iowa Central 5th in the country. Very big above the tape defensively. So how will that play a role here today? Steffes, an overhead dig by Durko. Back to the near, is able to adjust to that middle. That is where Gulf Coast State in their opening round matchup had a lot of success with Annabelle Chansey, who ended up in that match with 10 kills, hit 467 from that middle spot. Whatever she wanted to do, she did it against the Triton defense. So how does Iowa Central adjust? Madlock dumps it off. Good job reaching back. Kaiser to keep it alive. Durko back over to Kaiser. Was it blocked back by Jolly? Yes, they say it was. Kaiser a second time. Dug by Hayek. Madlock, left side. Steffes touched and down before a pancake attempt from Kerrigan Durko. Side out to Iowa Central. 3-2 advantage for Richard Bland here in the early going. In comes now Brooke Dobson. She takes the spot of McVeigh out in the starting 7 on the floor. Serving will be Mercedes Madlock. Setter for the Tritons. Overhead dig by Awalua. Left side, Kaiser, blocked back by Jolly. Hopkins there to play it. Durko, quick set for Hopkins. And the 6-2 middle again connects. 2 for 2 for number 18, Haley Hopkins. Out of Williamsburg, Virginia, came in team leader, 305 kills on the year. She takes a seat into the match to serve. And as her defensive replacement on the back row, Sydney Phillips, a sophomore from Greenville, Virginia. 4-2 Statesman. Over on court number 1, it's the 1-9 matchup of Johnson County and Grand Rapids. We'll be keeping you posted on some results from over there as they go through that match. Dobson gets a block back on the attack from Sarah Heath. Freshman out of Colonial Heights, Virginia, gets stuffed by Brooke Dobson, who made her way over to Iowa all the way from Henderson, Nevada. Decided to come play ball for 10th-year head coach Sarah Horn. Back in the libero for Richard Bland, that's Riley Harris, a sophomore from Mechanicsville, Virginia, leading the way with 424 digs on the season. Steffes serves with Richard Bland leading by 1. Overhead dig by Hayek. Back over to her from Madlock and blocked back. Oh no, Iowa Central. Great job keeping it alive. I thought for sure it hit the deck, but it did not. Here left side, Kaiser. That's off Matthias and Richard Bland. Great job by the Statesman not to get caught up in the moment, thinking that ball came down. The Tritons did an outstanding job of keeping that ball alive, but the point ultimately goes to the Statesman. Now Sarah Heath with a 5-3 advantage for Richard Bland. Jump serve, dug by Steffes. Madlock's going to set it up right side, and Dobson gets it blocked back. back in her grill. That's number 4, Leilani Goggin, a freshman from Wyers Cave, Virginia. 53 blocks on the year. Coming into the championships. And after earlier today recording 2 solo blocks, she gets another one to add to her stat line there. Here, Hayek, big swing, blocked back. Jolly back over the net, sent it to Richard Bland. In the middle, Durko's set is going to be a good one in the middle for Goggin once again. And Richard Bland opening up a 4-point lead, 7-3 here in the first, which will keep Sarah Heath back behind the service line. Her right-hander's dug by Matthias. Madlock, right side, Dobson. Was it touched? No, it was not. Sent long by Dobson. She thought it might have been. Was kind of looking over to the bench, wondering if anybody else saw the same as her, but the ruling will stand. 5-point lead now for the Statesmen. Heath, Matthias, over the head of Hayek, over to the net, separating the courts. And Sarah Horn put down the clipboard, but she is not calling the timeout yet. Richard Bland on a 5-0 run to make it 9-3. And on an ace serve by Sarah Heath. Came in with 37. Here to Cedar Rapids. Overhead dig by Hayek. She gets the set from Steffes. Did they call 2 on Caitlin Steffes? Yes, she doesn't get asked to do that very often. And now Sarah Horn up on her feet and calling her first time out of the opening frame. Richard Bland, a 6-0 run to lead at 10-3 here in the early stages of our quarterfinal matchup between they and the Iowa Central Tritons. Quick update from over on Court 1. Looks like the top seed here at the D2 Championships, Johnson County, is off to a fast start as well against the 9-seed Grand Rapids. 10-4, the advantage for the Cavs here at the moment. Now 10-5 after it looks like Grand Rapids struck for a point there on a good block on the opposite court. That one being handled by Joel McCall, my colleague. Those of you watching from Petersburg, Virginia, you may remember Joel. He had the call of that Richard Bland and McHenry County match over on court number 1. I'm Dwayne Cook. I was with the Iowa Central folks that were tuned in from Fort Dodge and elsewhere around the world, tuned in here on the NJCAA network with us as they were able to knock off Gulf Coast State in that 4-13 matchup. The winner of these two contests will meet tomorrow night, 6:30, with a spot in the championship match on the line, scheduled for a 6:30 first serve. Joel will be on the call for that one. And I'll see the two that come up short in these two quarterfinal matchups tomorrow at 2:30, right back here on court number 2, as they try to work towards a possible best 5th place finish. Out of the timeout from Sarah Horn. Almost an ace serve, but a good diving save by Steffes. Back over to Richard Bland in the middle. And the momentum does stick with the Statesman. Goggin off the assist from Durko. 11-3, Richard Bland. You know, it cannot be overstated what this Richard Bland team has done this year. They've won 8 straight. They have not dropped. That set they lost against McHenry County was their first they had lost in their last 26. And an ace serve is going to help pad the lead here even more so. 12-3 after Heath, again with her second in this run behind the service line. They've really been feeling it. And I tell you what, about that record, 31-3, in all reality, it ought to be 33-1. This team was saddled with 2 forfeit losses due to having an ineligible player check in a couple of games against Parkland and Edison State back in early September. They had a player who was not on the roster that checked in. They didn't realize it. And thus they were handed losses despite the fact that on the scoreboard they swept those two, Parkland and Edison State. And again, they strike here. This time, Sophia Kaiser. You can see the different weapons they come at you with. Richard Bland has opened up a 10-point lead. The timeout from Sarah Horn, unable to stop this run. 9-0 now for the Statesmen. Their one true loss, came in 5 sets against Monroe College, who made it into the national tournament in Division I. Finally, it is an end to the run for Iowa Central. They desperately needed it. Jolly checks out, as does, looks like, McClain came to the sideline. Yes, it'll be Matthias back in here. You see the libero for Iowa Central ready to serve. Also, Petroviak is back in on the front line. 13-4 Statesman. Overpass on the dig by Harris, the libero, handled by Iowa Central. It was going to be in play. Hayek back over to Kaiser. She gets the set from Durko. Tipped around the block. Matthias there. Madlock right side. Dobson touched. Diving save Harris. Durko back to the left for Kaiser. It's through the block, but backed up by Steffes. Madlock over to Hayek. Through the block again. Harris to Durko. Looks right side. Heath for a back row attack. Overpass and handled by Harris. Durko. Quick set. Middle. Goggin. You bet. Leilani Goggin. Another kill in the books. The strong start for Richard Bland continues. They are hitting .389 out of the gate. Iowa Central 0-45. And overall, Leilani Goggin is a perfect 3 for 3. So is Haley Hopkins, who has not had to rotate in for quite some time. She's been on the sideline, but she made her presence felt early on. And another ace for Richard Bland, number 5, Sophia Kaiser. Adds another one to the board for the Statesmen. They've got 4 here in this first set. Couldn't have drawn up a better start. She had 3 in the first match of the day, which gets her totals now to 53. And there's a good answer by Jory Hayek, who, according to her head coach, Sarah Horn, Hayek is the most complete player in all of NJCAA volleyball. She believes that wholeheartedly. We saw it on display against Gulf Coast State, too. Brooke Dobson's going to rotate out here for the Tritons. Serving was McVeigh, and a block up front, Petroviak. She, along with Madlock, were in the area. That'll keep McVeigh serving. Kylie McVeigh, sophomore out of Indianola, Iowa. 16 ace serves on the year. Trailing by 9 here, 15-6 in the first set against Richard Bland. Coming on the swing, Goggin yet again. 4 for 4 for number 4. She's feeling it here in this quarterfinal as the lead goes back up to 10. Putting Harris behind the service line. Kerrigan Durko is their heavy swinger from back behind that line. 4th in the country in ace serves coming into the championships. Hayek, big swing, good dig, Kaiser back row. Durko's going to set it up for Heath at the 10-foot line, dug by Steffes back row. Madlock, left for Hayek, crosser, great dig, Kaiser. Harris sets it up, Hopkins has rotated back in by the way up front. Hayek dumps it off, Heath was ready for it. Quick set for Hopkins again. She's 4 for 4. All the cylinders clicking right now offensively for Richard Bland. Offensively, defensively, and serving. They have built an 11-point advantage, 17-6. Here against the 4 seed, Iowa Central. Another high toss from Harris. Good dig by McVeigh. Steffes put it in the net. Caitlin Steffes has been awfully quiet here in this first frame. 2 kills, 2 errors for an even 0 hitting efficiency. And Sarah Horn is going to use her second and final timeout of the game. 18-6. It's Richard Bland with a 12-point commanding lead here in game number 1 in a best 3 of 5 against the 4 seed Iowa Central Tritons. You're watching the Division II National Junior College Athletic Association Volleyball Championships right here on the NJCAA Network. Nothing beats the power and excitement of live events like TicketSmarter. For all the best sports, concerts, and theater events, visit TicketSmarter.com or on the app. TicketSmarter is proud to be the official ticket resale marketplace of the NJCAA. TicketSmarter, a smarter way to buy tickets. 18-6, Richard Bland leads it here in set number 1 against Iowa Central. The 5 over the 4 at the moment. Back to action, Harris puts it in the net. for Richard Bland. That is the Statesman's first service error. The change in philosophy serving for Richard Bland this year has been evident based on the stats. Last year, this program had 191 ace serves as a team. Hopkins from the middle, finally a dig for Iowa Central on a swing from Hopkins. Steffes gets the point for the Tritons. All made possible, though, on that dig and pass from Jory Hayek, as she gets set up behind the service line. Able to finally get one to stay off the deck from Haley Hopkins. A short serve here. Harris pulls Hopkins towards the net, and that's got Richard Bland all out of system. One of the first times we've seen the Statesmen not be able to get into that typical bump set spike offensive system here. Anyway, Richard Bland, 191 ace serves last year. This year they came into the championships with 357 of them, and they had 14 against McHenry County earlier today. Left side set, blocked. It is Petroviak on the near side. She and Madlock were right there to reject the attack that time from number 9, Owalua. And the Tritons trying to make it a little interesting here down the stretch. 18-10, they're back to within 8. Hayek, dug by Owalua. Right side, Heath. Diving save by McVeigh. Madlock's going to set it up for Hayek on the back row. Harris, the pass to Durko. For Hopkins, that's down. Side out, Statesman. By the way, Court 1 update. Johnson County 23, Grand Rapids 12 at the moment in their opening game. The top-seeded Cavaliers currently sitting pretty in game number 1. Here's Kerrigan Durko. She had 5 ace serves. That gets her up to 94 on the year now. That is in the top 10 of the country. Steffes tried to dump it off. Haley Hopkins says, not in my house. Sending it right back on a block. The team leader with 89 on the year had 22 solo. That was a little bit more than a block. It's almost like Steffes gave her a set above the net that she never meant to, as Caitlin was trying to go with a little shot up over the top. Got to get a little bit more air under that molten volleyball if you're going to try to pull that on Hopkins. Petroviak puts it in the net, and the lead goes to 11 for Richard Bland at 21-10. 25-12 the final on court number 1 in set 1 for Johnson County. Champs from 2 years ago off to a strong start there, trying to punch a ticket to the semifinal. Same here for Richard Bland. At 21-10, Durko serves but sails it long. Did not have a service error in match number 1 today against McHenry County, but picks up one there. Matthias rotates out, as does Petroviak, with Jolly returning, and also Maya McLean for Iowa Central, who you can see right there, gets ready to serve. The hometown kid for the Tritons from there in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Owalua digs. Here left side, Heath off the block. It stays in play. Owalawa's there. She gets the set back from Durko and wasn't ready for it. She was heading to the back row, had to run up and tried to punch it over. Again, one of the few times that we've seen Richard Bland not be clean offensively. To this point here in this first set, it's been few and far between. McLean again, now trailing by 9. Harris, good pass to Durko. Quick set, Hopkins again. You can see why she came into the championships ranked 5th in the country in hitting efficiency with .399, the mark. Now against McHenry County, that was down at .263. But she's coming back with a vengeance here thus far against Iowa Central. The lead back to 10. Steffes roll shot, dug by Harris. Durko, right side for Heath, down the line, and it's in. 23-12, Richard Bland, and I can tell you, the Statesmen currently here in this first set are hitting just an astronomical number. Not the highest we've seen today, but still 333 on 31 attacks. Serve goes long here for Owalua to give it back over to Iowa Central, with the Tritons Again, finding themselves trailing by double digits when they get the serve back. Dobson rotates in. Madlock is going to serve. Matthias is back in the match. McVeigh to the sideline. Madlock off the arms of Kaiser. That's an ace for the Iowa Central setter, Mercedes Madlock, out of Bonner Springs, Kansas. Had a couple of aces against Gulf Coast State, which brings her total to 33 now on the season. Right-handers dug by Kaiser. Durko looking middle to Hopkins one more time. Well, to answer the question that I had when the match got started, how does Iowa Central adjust to a strong middle like we saw against Gulf Coast State? The answer is they haven't done it. Haley Hopkins has been able to swing away no problem. Set point for Richard Bland, 24-14, 10 of them to work with. As Hopkins rotates out, number 8, Sydney Phillips in to serve. Left side, Dobson, blocked back up front, an emphatic way to end the first game. Getting it up front, Leilani Goggin, the freshman, rejects the attack from the Tritons, and Richard Bland with a statement in the opening set. 25-14, the 5 seed takes it right to the 4 seed in their home state here. Iowa Central playing in Cedar Rapids. We'll take a timeout here between sets. Flip sides, as you can see, both teams making their way to the opposite sides of the net, and we'll bring you back for the start of set 2 right after this, as you are watching the NJCAA Division II Volleyball National Championships on the NJCAA Network. Well, when you have a discrepancy of 413 points between two teams in hitting efficiency, you got a pretty good idea of how the set's going to go. That's where we stand here at the end of game number 1. Richard Bland hit 375 in the opening game. Iowa Central negative 062. 32 attacks for both teams, 15 kills for the Statesmen versus 3 errors. Iowa Central 5 kills, 7 errors. 3 ace serves for Richard Bland, 2 for Iowa Central, 3 service errors to the Statesmen, none for the Tritons. And 3 blocks on both sides, 6 assists for Richard Bland as far as block assists go, and 2 solo, 2 assists, 3 blocking errors against the Tritons. Individually, Haley Hopkins hitting .889 for Richard Bland. 8 kills, 9 attempts, no errors. Leilani Goggin, who clinched that set for Richard Bland, perfect 4 for 4. Kerrigan Durko doing what she does, setting it all around. 13 assists for Richard Bland. As for Iowa Central, Caitlin Steffes is sitting at 0 in hitting efficiency at the moment. 3 kills, 3 errors on 11 attempts. Jory Hayek hitting .200 with 2 kills, 10 attempts, no errors. Hopkins this time gets rejected, and it's Caitlin Steffes who is fired up going back to the huddle. Hopkins had it much too easy in that first set. You see, there is a little bit of an adjustment we talked about from Sarah Horn of what we'd see against the middle. They put Steffes right up in her grill, a double block against the big middle. Here, tipping it over the block is Awalua. Diving save Harris. Awalua gets it again to the crosser left side, dug by Matthias. Back row attack, Hayek. Overhead dig by Heath. Harris, back row set, Kaiser put it in the net. And Iowa Central leads at 2-0. This Triton team is not going to go away. They're not going to do that. Very strong group there. Very much battle-tested. They've had 9 5-set matches this year. They're 7-2 in those 9 matches. Awalua with an overhead dig. Durko sets for Heath. It's dug by McVeigh. Madlock going to Steffes. Tipped back by Hopkins. Kept alive by Petroviak. Madlock to Steffes. Into the donut. It's down. And a 3-0 start for Iowa Central in the second. It's like they've woke up. Second match of the day for both of these teams. They both 1-4 in their first round meetings. Hayek serves. Dug by Awalua. Hopkins middle set. Hayek digs back row. Steffes behind the 10-foot line. Roll shot dug by Harris. Durko coming right to Heath. It's dug by Hayek. Madlock going right back to Steffes again. And that one pinballs around. Heath from her knees gets it back to Matthias. Now on a slide, it's Petroviak, and she missed. Wow, what a play defensively for number 12, Sarah Heath, and the Richard Bland Statesman to end the 3-love run for Iowa Central to open up the second set. And here's Kerrigan Durko. That jump serve, so effective. Down to two knees, McVeigh digs. Madlock to Steffes through the block and down. Hopkins and Heath were there, but Caitlin Steffes just a bit too good that time. She's one of the best that we'll see. Matthias checks out. So does Petroviak. With number 20 coming in for the Tritons, that's Marissa Kaufman, a 6-foot freshman out of Humboldt, Iowa, we see for the first time. And Maya McLean will serve. And a low serve that is going to be an ace. Kaiser sent it back at the shins of Durko, and all she could do was send it over to the scores table. Stephanie Champagne out close to the court here, coaching up her squad. The Statesmen fall behind here early in set number 2, 5-1. McLean. Kaiser into the net. Back-to-back ace serves for McLean. And if I'm number 5, Sophia Kaiser, I'm taking a step a little bit closer here for this next serve. That's back-to-back. That had been exactly the same from McLean. She goes back at her again. This one stayed up a little longer. Durko, left side. Heath, dig by Hayek. Madlock, left side. Steffes, blocked back. Sent back as well by Kaufman to Harris. Durko, right side. Heath again. That one goes off of McLean and out of play. Sarah Heath, the freshman out of Colonial Heights, Virginia, is currently up now. That's her first kill. Side out Statesman. And that'll put Awolowo behind the service line. Good dig by Matthias. Steffes gets the set, and it's down. Soft swing, little roll shot off the wrist. Harris just a step late. Caitlin Steffes starting to rack up some kill numbers now. As she's up to 6. 3 alone here this frame. And a 7-2 advantage for the Tritons, partially because of it. Madlock. Dobson's checked in, by the way, for Iowa Central. Durko sets for Kaiser. Big swing off the hands of Hayek. And do they get a net violation? They did. Looks like 18 Dobson is the guilty party there. It was a good job by Hayek to even play that volleyball. In comes number 8, Sydney Phillips in place of Hopkins. Harris also taking a seat for the moment. With Leilani Goggin back in. Steffes down the line, missed wide. Just cut it a bit too much down that left line. Statesman back within 3. Johnson County leads 13-6 in set 2 against Grand Rapids over on court number 1, leading the match 1-love, and a service error by Phillips. Gives it back over to Iowa Central. Hopkins is up off the bench for just a moment to allow Phillips to check out and to bring back in the libero, Harris. Steffes for Iowa Central, their best. Had an ace serve against Gulf Coast State. Here a diving dig for her. Hayek gets the set off the block and down in front of a diving effort from Kerrigan Durko. Iowa Central just seems to have a new energy about them here in this second set. A little bit more intensity shown. Durko, right side, Heath. Ooh, big one down the line off of Matthias. Over to the Triton bench. Goodness, we have some really heavy hitters in this tournament. As you would imagine, teams get here and you're watching the best of the best play some Division II volleyball. There's no doubt about that. And we've seen it on display here today. Heath serve, diving save, overpass from Steffes, tipped back by Kaiser, but she didn't get a whole lot on it. Here, 21, Hayek. That one might have gone out if she didn't play it, but she had the overhead dig. Goes line, it's dug by Heath. Durko looking for Kaiser again, off the tape. Dug up by Kaufman. Right side, Dobson, roll shot. Dug by Awolowo. Back to the right for Heath. And that's off Steffes. Might have gone long, similar to what I said earlier on that rally with Hayek, but Caitlin Steffes couldn't hold off, and the Statesmen have cut it down to 3. 9-6 with Sarah Heath continuing to serve. Overhead dig, Hayek, Madlock punched it to the back row, and Steffes gets enough on it for a free return to Harris. Quick set middle, Goggin, and off Matthias. Richard Bland starting to get back into that system we always talk about. Have a little bit more success, and it all starts defensively. I know the phrase gets tossed around a lot in about every sport. Defense wins championships, but I truly believe in volleyball. It may be the most important sport where defense plays a factor. Kaiser, you bet, on the crosser. And the Statesmen, after falling behind as much as 5, 7-2 in this second set, they're back within 1 at 9-8. And you can see at the bottom of your screen the Richard Bland bench bowing to Kaiser after that swing. They get a little bit of a warning from our side official about being a little too far out towards the court of play. Heath serves again, dug by Hayek. Madlock, one-handed set for Hayek off the top tape. Harris over to Durko, sets it up. Kaiser left side again. Crosser, Matthias was ready for it that time. Hayek, Steffes back row attack, just a right-hand tip over to Harris. Durko, quick set, Goggin. It sends Dobson to her seat. Madlock pushes it back to Harris. Durko, right side, Heath, dug by Steffes. Madlock camped out under it. Right side, Dobson. Her roll shot dug by Awalua. Left side, Kaiser, blocked. Dobson got it up at the net. And a side out for Iowa Central to push that lead back to 2 at 10-8. Out goes Kaufman. Petroviak checking in with number 1 McLean, just doing a little do-si-do along the sideline there as part of the substitution. Matthias, the libero, will serve. Dug by Kaiser. Durko on a slide here for Goggin. That's down. Madlock, typically she's obviously the setter, right? So she's thinking about getting to it on 2. Where the pass is coming from. When she realized that Steffes wasn't going to be able to get to that molten volleyball, a little late on the reaction. 10-9. Side out immediately for Richard Bland, and here's Kaiser. Sophomore out of Stafford, Virginia. 49 ace serves on the year coming into the championship. Steffes dives down to keep one from happening here. Dobson off the tape, dug by Harris. Durko up front, left-hand tip by Goggin, tip back by Dobson, but Richard Bland pays it. Back row attack from Kaiser, pinballs around. Petroviak gets it back over to the Statesman. Here in the middle, Goggin off the block, reaching back was Hayek. However, neither Petroviak nor Madlock could keep it alive after that, and we are tied up at 10. Leilani Goggin, 778 efficiency. 7 kills, 9 attempts, no errors. Having a great match after hitting 286 against McHenry County earlier. And an ace for Kaiser. The 4th ace serve of the evening for Richard Bland, Kaiser's 2nd. And that gives the Statesmen the lead. This has turned into an extended 9-3 run. Steffes to Madlock. They've got him in system, and Dobson hit the antenna. Sarah Horn comes to her feet and notifies our side official she would like to use a timeout. Her first of the frame as Richard Bland, after falling behind early to what appeared to be a very motivated Iowa Central team to come back from a tough 25-14 loss in the first set. Now the Statesmen bounce back themselves 12-10, leading it here at the halfway point of our second game. You're watching the NJCAA Network presented by Zurich Insurance, the official provider of student-athlete insurance for the NJCAA. Zurich Insurance helps athletes get back on the court after an injury. Learn more at zurichna.com. We've got Nick Jackson producing for us here today on Court 2. Tate Mullenkamp, Carson Connect on our cameras, and I'm Dwayne Cook on the mic. Our 6th match and final one of the day. 6 today, 5 tomorrow, and then on Championship Saturday, we'll be here for, I got to count them up now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them once more with a champion to be crowned late on Saturday night here in Cedar Rapids. We know two teams that have made their way to the semifinals at this point. The defending champ Parkland Cobras swept their way through the first two rounds. And Scottsdale with their sweep of Muskegon earlier this morning right here on Court 2, and then they come back and knock off Cowley to rob us all of a rematch of last year's championship match in the semifinals with Cowley and Parkland by reverse sweeping the Tigers. Out of the break, Hayek, little finesse shot towards the donut. Heath overpass to Madlock. Now Hayek, big swing off the block, reaching back Kaiser. Durko, bump set for Awalua. Off Hayek, Steffes hits it around. Hayek almost got enough to get it over the tape. Richard Bland was already kind of celebrating there. I saw Goggin with her arms up. If that ball came over from Hayek, I don't know if they would have been able to get to it, but it doesn't matter. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a very Merry Christmas, as I was told many a time as a child whenever I would say if or but about what have you. Madlock with a great dump off. Heady play by the Iowa Central setter. Mercedes doesn't call her number a whole lot. She's got over 1,300 assists on the season for a reason, because she's got Caitlin Steffes and company to set the ball to. But gets a kill there to end the Richard Bland run. Durko tries to dump it off herself, but that hung up a long time for McVeigh. Here, Hayek soft touch, dumped back by Durko. Madlock right back over to Richard Bland. Durko in the middle, Goggin through the block, backed up by Matthias. Madlock left side, Hayek, crosser, Awalua digs. She gets a set back at the 10-foot line, dug by Steffes. Madlock for Hayek again, blocked back. Matthias backs it up. Madlock caught a piece of it, so did Steffes on its way down to the red tile. Richard Bland, the points. Johnson County just won the second set, 25-12 against Grand Rapids. The Cavs appear to be well on their way to moving on to tomorrow night's semifinal against the winner of this contest here. Goggin rotates out. Hopkins is back in up front for the Statesman, serving the libero, Riley Harris. Of course, I said that same thing, speaking of Johnson County, about Cowley when they went up 2-0 on Scottsdale. And here we are. They're into the consolation bracket, whereas the Fighting Artichokes are on to the semifinals tomorrow against the defending champ Parkland Cobras. Hopkins is fresh off the bench with yet another kill to add to her stat line. Put it right down in front of McVeigh on that back row. Haley Hopkins and Leilani Goggin in particular continue their efficient hitting. 9 kills on 12 attempts, 1 error for Hopkins. Goggin, 7 kills, 10 attempts, no errors. And an ace for Riley Harris. Statesman pushed that lead to 5. (16-11) against the team from Fort Dodge, Iowa. Harris fires that molten volleyball up high in the sky and fires it off the arms of McVeigh for another ace serve. Back-to-back for Harris. Sarah Horn has seen enough. Her second timeout will be burned. This again, just to reiterate here, Iowa Central led 7-2 at one point. Now the Statesmen on a 15-4 run to open up a 6-point advantage as they lead at 1-love in the match after a 25-14 opening set victory. You're watching the NJCAA Division II Volleyball Championships on the NJCAA Network. Richard Bland earlier today, folks, did something they had not done in program history. They won a match at the national championships, beating McHenry County in 4 sets. They were 0-2 last year in their first ever trip to a national tournament. Stephanie Champagne coming over from Terra State, and her husband and assistant coach Sean Dryden already setting marks for this Richard Bland program. They certainly know their way around the game of volleyball. There's no questioning that. Out of the break from Sarah Horn, who's no stranger to volleyball either in her 10 years at Iowa Central, an illustrious career she's put together too. we get the second set rolling again. Durko over to Harris. Awalua with a roll shot dug by Steffes towards the net, drawing McVeigh that way. Steffes with a roll shot back row. Overhead dig Harris. Durko bump set for Awalua. Another dig by Steffes. Madlock left side. Hayek. Hopkins blocks it back on that front row, and none of the other white jerseys could play it. Petroviak was there. Madlock too, but it came down too fast. Off those hands of Haley Hopkins up front. That 6'2 middle has been as advertised. Harris with a 7-point lead. Good serve, Steffes, great dig. Madlock, Petroviak, blocked back Hopkins, kept alive Steffes, and she thinks it should be an over-the-net call on Hopkins, but it doesn't come. She gets to set Haley Hopkins, ball don't lie. Ten kills for number 18, Haley Hopkins, the first to double digits here in this one. 19-11, Richard Bland. Harris. McVeigh, good pass to Madlock. A bump set to Caitlin Steffes back row. Roll shot was blocked back by Hopkins. Madlock comes left to Hayek here. Crossing push. It's dug by Awalua. Heath on the right side. Off the block and off the chest of Mercedes Madlock. They just will not be denied right now. Statesmen can seemingly do no wrong. They hit 375 in the first set. As Jolly rotates in here in place of Petroviak. And they're hitting 257 in this second set. Harris again. Dug by Matthias. Madlock going to Hayek. Pops up through the block. Harris. Durko, we've got a whistle, and do they get Hopkins for a net violation? I believe so. Side out to the Tritons, and they needed it. Trailing by 8, what they really need is a big run here, and not a moment to spare. Durko for Hopkins in the middle. It comes through the block and down in the donut before Madlock. Actually, that wasn't Madlock, that was McVeigh, who was trying to reach for that volleyball. And even when they do get the side out, the Statesmen make sure that Iowa Central does not go on a run. Durko. Dug by McVeigh. Madlock for Steffes on the left. Popped up through the block. Punch to keep alive. Kaiser over to Harris. Free return. McVeigh to Madlock. They'll go to Steffes again, and she did not hit it properly. That does not happen very much at all to number 11. You know, I made the note back for the Iowa Central fans that were with us in the win against Gulf Coast State. I mentioned that Caitlin Steffes had that hitting hand on her right hand, her thumb taped up about midway through that match. And you can just tell that it's bothering her ever so slightly. She can reach back and still swing away a couple times. Here she tried to set up that block, but Heath wins that battle above the net between two powerhouses. But it's just not quite the same number 11 that Triton fans are used to seeing out there. And I hate that. I always, especially at this level, always hope that teams get to play each other at full strength. That way we know, right, who truly is the best. But Richard Bland leaving no doubt right now. Heath crosser goes long, side out to Iowa Central. At least here through two sets. I mean, come on, I'm not writing it off at all. I mean, look what happened with Cowley and Scottsdale, right? A reverse sweep there. It's not over till that three goes up on the board on your side. By any means. And this Iowa Central team has plenty of firepower to do just that. Here, Hopkins hits one off number 1 McLean on the back row, and it will be set point for Richard Bland. 24-13. Awalua will serve. Getting positive vibes from her teammates there, you see. On the bottom left of your screen, she tosses it up high, too. Dug by Hayek. Here's Steffes. Roll shot off the wrist, through the block, backed up by Durko. On 2, Awalua attacks. Overhead dig by Hayek. Steffes with a crosser, dug by Awalua. Left side, Kaiser through the block, punched back by Madlock. Durko to Harris. She'll set it up right side for Heath. Dug on a knee by McVeigh. Steffes, crosser, off the tape, and it took a friendly roll down in front of a diving attempt from Harris. We play on. Set point number 1 in the books. McVeigh rotates out. Dobson comes in. And it's Madlock. Mercedes Madlock, you see there, to serve. Dug by Harris. Durko, right side, Heath. Diving save, Madlock. It's Kaufman setting it up for Dobson. And that goes out of play for Marissa Kaufman. That is assist number 5 on the year. A little bit out of system, but the Tritons get the point. 2 set points now in the books. Madlock misses wide, and that's how our second set will come to an end. Richard Bland, for the second set, wins by double digits. 25-14 in the first, 25-15 here in the second. The Statesmen open up a commanding 2-love lead in this quarterfinal matchup with a semifinal berth on the line as we head to the third. Right after this, you're watching the NJCAA Division II Volleyball Championships on the NJCAA Network.
I couldn't sleep.
Well, neither could he.
I couldn't sleep.
Well, neither could he.
Wow, talk about burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, but no oil. Runs on battery.
Oh, right.
Automower by Husqvarna. It's the GOAT for a beautifully cut lawn every day and night.
I couldn't sleep.
Well, neither could he.
Wow, talk about burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, but no oil. Runs on battery.
Oh, right.
Automower by Husqvarna. It's the GOAT for a beautifully cut lawn every day and night.
I couldn't sleep.
Well, neither could he.
Wow, talk about burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, but no oil. Runs on battery.
Oh, right.
Automower by Husqvarna. It's the GOAT for a beautifully cut lawn every day and night.
Look at that thing go. It mows grass. Look at that thing go. It mows grass nonstop. We mow grass nonstop. That's our thing. You're going to hear from our lawyer, pal.
We have a lawyer?
Automower by Husqvarna. It's the GOAT for a beautifully cut lawn every day. Shop now at automower.com.
It's time to accept more opportunities, more good days, more control of what you'll get out of life. You plus NCWU. North Carolina Wesleyan University offers working adults a seamless path forward that's affordable and flexible. Complete your degree in as little as 18 months for careers in healthcare, cybersecurity, and more. Enroll today at ncwc.edu. North Carolina Wesleyan University. Personal, practical, purpose-driven.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Fans, Moulton is proud to be the official volleyball of the NJCAA and has generously provided all balls for all NJCAA Volleyball National Championships. Moulton for the real game. I tell you what, those Moulton volleyballs here on Court 2 and Court 1 for that matter have been taking a beating here today. As we move on to the third set in our 4-5 quarterfinal between Richard Bland and Iowa Central, the Statesmen, the 5 seed, trying to pull the upset over the 4 Iowa Central Tritons. 25-14, 25-15. One note to make, too. Triton fans will remember this. For those of you that were tuned in with us for that Gulf Coast State matchup, this starting lineup, it took Sarah Horn and the Triton coaching staff a few matches to kind of figure out the exact 7 they wanted out there to start. Those starters, which again are Madlock, McVeigh, Steffes, Petroviak, Dobson, Hayek and the libero Matthias have not lost a match this year. They're on the brink of losing one here in their biggest one to date. Left side, Steffes to open up the third. It's dug on a roll shot here by Kaiser. And on the attack, that was Awolowo on the attack. Now Steffes another roll shot, dug by Kaiser. Durko had to try to play it out of the net and took a bad hop out of the nylon. It'll be Iowa Central who strikes first. The Tritons got off to a fast start in the second, you might recall. They led 7-2 in that second game. Seem to be poised, playing with a new sense of energy, sense of motivation. Seem to be poised to go and tie it 1-1. But, man, Richard Bland answered back in a big way, winning by 10. Harris to Durko. Got him in system. Right side, a crosser from Awolowo. Dug back over on an overpass. Hopkins in the middle. Mishit it, but it works. Even when she's not at her best, she's been a dominant force in the middle for Richard Bland. She's got 13 kills on 16 attempts and 1 error, hitting .750. That's just out of this world numbers, especially in a quarterfinal. Here, Awolowo kind of mishit her serve there, but made it over. Steffes, there you go. There's the hammer from Caitlin Steffes we're so used to seeing. I just hate it. If that truly is affecting her, that right thumb being taped up, I hate that for her and Iowa Central. McVeigh rotates out. It'll be Madlock to serve. Dobson has checked in as well. Kaufman out there for the Tritons too. Durko, left side, Kaiser down the line, and it was touched. It might have missed wide, but Hayek's diving effort touched it before it hit the black tile. It was close. It was close enough to where I don't blame Jory at all for going after that volleyball. Hopkins and Harris rotate out. Phillips is in to serve, and Goggin, who has been just as efficient, just not quite as many attempts as Haley Hopkins, checks back in. Phillips, service error. Richard Bland's fifth to go along with 6 ace serves. Iowa Central with 4 and 1, respectively. 4 aces, 1 service error. But the Tritons' biggest difference here in this game, the hitting percentage. 0.25 for Iowa Central, 3.21 for Richard Bland. There's your match to this point. Durko, right side Heath, dug by Steffes. Madlock, right side for Dobson, and that crosser is down around Durko. Tritons lead it by 2, 4-2. A little bit of a closer set there in number 3 between Johnson County and Grand Rapids. Cavaliers leading 14-12, but they beat Grand Rapids in the first 2 games, 25-12 each. So Grand Rapids already having matched their set totals from the first and second against the top seed. Here, Tritons doing what they did in the second set. The opening stage is off to a fast start here at 5-2. Steffes will serve. Dug up high by Kaiser. Left side for Goggin. Got a standing start. Dug by Hayek. Madlock, back row. Steffes just a free return. That's all Iowa Central can manufacture there. Durko, left side, and Kaiser doesn't miss on the second attempt. Sophia Kaiser has herself 6 kills in the match, hitting 200. So the balance is there. It's a little offset by Haley Hopkins having 13 kills. She leads the way, but then you see the 6 from Heath, 6 from Kaiser, 7 from Goggin. That's what Richard Bland is all about. Scottsdale's the same way. We'll see him tomorrow. Parkland as well. It's really a big factor. Defense, big swing from Goggin there in the middle, by the way. As we show it to you again. Your defense better be good. Your serving better be efficient. And you better be able to go to more than one hitter. Consistently, I should say. Heath. I think Matthias got the most of that. She and Steffes were both there. Dobson gets blocked back up front. Scramble by Iowa Central. Has Madlock get it back over. Here's Heath off of Madlock and almost up to the stands. 5-all here in the third. You know, Coach Champagne, Richard Bland was asked, because when you try to pick apart a team as an announcer, you look at some of those stats, right, coming in. And really, for Richard Bland, the digs are the one that kind of is the outlier here. They're not one of the nation's elite in regards to the dig numbers. We've got an over-the-net call here that goes against the Tritons, putting the Statesmen in front 6-5. They are 91st coming into the championships with shy of 1,400 digs. They average just shy of 13 digs per set, which is 114th in the nation. Again, a big outlier there for Richard Bland. And so we asked Coach Champagne, myself and Joel McCall, what's the deal? Why are the digs so low? I mean, you're so efficient in the assist and kills per set. Why aren't the digs there? And Kaiser catches a piece of Matthias on her crosser. And she said, really, the digs are down due to the fact that we score. So there's not a whole lot of returns here from our opponents. And then we keep teams out of system. So it's a lot of free returns, right? It's not so much those kills coming from the other side of the net. We've seen it here tonight against Iowa Central. And that's going to be an ace for Sarah Heath. Madlock gave it all she had to get over to that bad pass that pulled her over towards the net. But Sarah Heath gets the ace, a 6-0 run for Richard Bland. They didn't wait quite as long as they did back in the second set when Iowa Central got ahead 7-2. But here they are, up by 3. Well, you folks that stayed up over in Leesburg, Virginia, or Petersburg, Virginia, I beg your pardon, and surrounding areas, you're tuned into a treat right now with the way this Statesman team is playing. And Goggin again from the middle on a crosser. Sarah Horn, timeout Tritons, her first of this third set. 9-5 on a 7-0 run for Richard Bland. Leilani Goggin, 9 kills, 13 attempts, no errors. 692 for the freshman out of Wyers Cave, Virginia. You're watching the NJCAA Division II Volleyball Championships on the NJCAA Network. Fans, you can follow along with all the action of the 2022 NJCAA Volleyball Championships live right here on the NJCAA Network. Go to www.njcaa.org/network to view live and archived video of each game. The NJCAA Network is also now available on mobile, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Android TV streaming platforms. The NJCAA Network, the home for NJCAA digital content. Richard Bland leads it by 4 here in the set. The match by 2. 25-14, 25-15. The set scores to this point in favor of the squad from out in Petersburg, Virginia, just south of Richmond. Back to action. Iowa Central on the attack. Hayek has her swing dug by Awolowo. Kaiser gets the set, and it is blocked back on that right side. Brooke Dobson. And Caitlin Steffes is there to greet her after a big block up front against the Richard Bland outside hitter, Sophia Kaiser. Kaufman and McLean rotate out. Matthias in to serve. And we also see Petroviak back out there for Iowa Central. Slide here for Goggin, and again, I mean, just pick. I know Kaiser got blocked on that last one, but Hopkins, Goggin, Kaiser, Heath, just take your pick. Kerrigan Durko, when she transferred over from Terra State, I mean, she had to be just thrilled seeing what she had to work with. Kaiser serve, dug by Matthias. Great pass to Madlock. Middle for Hayek. That'll work for Jory. You know, it's high praise from your coach whenever she says that you're like the Caitlin Steffes of the back row. That's exactly what Sarah Horn said about Jory Hayek. Dobson rotates out. McVeigh comes in. Johnson County on the brink of sweeping Grand Rapids over on court number 1. We'll update you on that in a moment. Big swing, Goggin again. Why not? Just will not be denied. And in comes Haley Hopkins to replace her. I mean, that is a two-headed monster if I've ever seen one right there. You go from a young lady who is hitting 733 to bringing in one that's hitting 750. I mean, and it's not on just 2 attempts either. We're looking at Goggin with 15, Hopkins with 16. You know, each coach is asked at the end of the match to nominate a player from their team and a player from the other team for the all-tournament team that gets announced after all the matches have wrapped up here in Cedar Rapids. Harris with another ace serve. She continues to add to her mark. She's up now to 3 in the match. As the lead goes up to 5 for Richard Bland, 12-7. I don't know who Coach Champagne nor Coach Horn would want to nominate. I mean, it's been impressive to watch. It's just, that's the best way to put it. Harris, good hard serve. Hayek, a great diving save. Steffes roll shot, tipped by Hopkins, back over to Kaiser. Durko, left side, and a big swing from Au'alua. And that one, I think that volleyball, if we could talk, would say ow. They can all hit. 13-7. Even Durko, who we haven't seen do it here tonight, but she's got the ability. Hasn't needed to. And there you go, over on court 1. Looks like Johnson County just completed the sweep of Grand Rapids, 25-16 in the third. So the Cavs are on to the semifinals. Who will join them? Statesmen well on their way to being that fourth team still alive for a national title berth, potentially. Here the shot sails long from Heath. Side out to the Tritons, Iowa Central trailing by 5. Statesmen 12 points away from joining Johnson County tomorrow night over on court number 1. The serve from Hayek, overhead dig Harris. Durko, left side, off the tape. No, it hit the pin. Au'alua just missed it. And Hayek will serve again. Oh, Jory switched back. She had the ponytail going here in match number 2. She had the pigtails back in match number 1 of the night. Switched back. Au'alua doesn't miss this time. Went right down the line. Trying to get some of that mojo back, Jory Hayek. But a quick side out once more from the Statesmen. They have not allowed Iowa Central, aside from early on in the second set and this one, to a point, to go on any kind of run beyond that. Kerrigan Durko will wait to serve. It looks like Matthias and or Steffes. It looks like there's some perspiration perhaps on the floor. No, I think Matthias just needed some water. She's over on the sideline. Our side official and our head coach Sarah Horn looking on. She's chugging away at that water bottle, so must have been a dehydration situation. I don't know. Kind of brings us to a halt here at the moment. But she'll return. Statesmen leading by 5, 14-9. Last match of the day here at the Alliant Energy Powerhouse in Cedar Rapids. Durko. Matthias towards the underside of the net. Madlock did good just to even make contact with it, but she sent it back over to the official stand. No chance for Steffes on that left side. Lead goes to 6. Richard Bland has not been threatened in this match. In late stages of it anyway. Steffes. Madlock back over to Caitlin. Through the block, dug by Durko. Harris. Bump set, right side. Heath off the block, off Matthias, and down. You know, even Sarah Heath hitting now, that's her 8th kill, hitting 208. You know, it's we look at it because of the other stats that her teammates are putting up as, oh, she's only hitting 208. But, I mean, that's a good number, especially when you're looking at a situation like this. Petroviak with a great swing from the middle there for Iowa Central. But especially when you've got a couple teammates hitting over 700. In comes McLean. Petroviak, after that kill, takes a seat. And McVeigh also into the match here. Actually, Kaufman's the new one in the match for Iowa Central. Bad pass, Harris, over to Hopkins, and they call 2 on Haley Hopkins. That is not her forte. 0 assists on the year for Haley Hopkins. You can see just not a comfortable looking set. She's more so inclined to be on the receiving end of those, as we've seen here tonight. McLean. Harris, much better pass this time. Durko, left side. Heath, crosser, overhead dig Hayek. Here's Steffes over the block, backed up by Durko. Harris with a bump set, back to the left, looking for Awalua. Off Hayek into the net. 17-11. Statesman in front by 6. Silala Winasimativa Awalua has 4 kills. And she'll serve here. And she'll put it in the net. Richard Bland, that makes 6 service errors, which when you have 9 aces to offset that, it's definitely a number that Coach Champagne and Coach Dryden can live with. Madlock trailing by 5. Overhead dig Kaiser. Durko going right to Heath, and it's down. That's just, you have to guess defensively. Truly, when you have hitters like this hitting the way that they are, Hopkins is going to rotate out. Goggins back in. Phillips will come in to serve. Harris to the sideline, too, along with Hopkins. You have to guess where Durko's going with that volleyball. She's either going to go in that last set, for example, Heath to the right, Hopkins in the middle. You got Kaiser on the left. I mean, it is not – I do not want to be in Sarah Horn's shoes right now. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Caitlin Steffes just got one off the forehead on a block from Goggin. That's the nation leader, folks, in kills. And Leilani Goggin said, not tonight. Man, that is the perfect picture, if you will, of how this set and this match has gone for Richard Bland. Harris is checking back in. Phillips back to the sideline for the Statesman. Matthias, too, back in for Iowa Central. 19-13, Statesman. Steffes will serve. Kaiser up front, Durko going right to Heath. Off the tape, it fell down. Man, that's just bad luck. Your defense is set up there. Kaufman, Hayek. It's just that kind of match for Richard Bland. If you're going to get that kind of bounce, you just tip your cap if you're Iowa Central. I mean, I know it hurts, but if they're going to get that, it's just about curtains. Heath has her serve dug by Steffes. Right side, Dobson. That comes down off the block. Brooke Dobson, a good swing. That gives Brooke now 3 kills. But it's the errors that have just been killing Iowa Central. 15 attack errors, 19 kills on 95 attempts. That hitting efficiency is at .042, whereas Richard Bland is hitting .361. Matthias serves, dug by Kaiser. Durko going back to her on the left. Over the block and down in front of a pancake attempt from Madlock. She thought she got it. Our head official shakes her head no. Sarah Horn, by the way, if you forgot or just are tuning in with us here, has already used her 2 timeouts this set for Iowa Central. So the Statesman, for Richard Bland, can play it out as long as they want. And right now, they're up by 7. Why wouldn't you just keep it on rolling? Kaiser serve, dug by Steffes. Middle, Hayek. That's a good response. But you got to have more where that comes from. And Jory Hayek with a stomp in the middle of the floor, trying to egg on her Tritons. Dobson rotates out. McVeigh's in. And the serve from Cotty McVeigh. Overhead dig Harris. Durko, middle, you bet. Leilani Goggin. How about 7:33? 11 kills, 15 attempts. Actually, I was wrong. I was a little behind there. 12 kills, 16 attempts, no errors, 750. She and Haley Hopkins hitting 750, folks. That doesn't happen. Harris, low serve, and overpass. Durko sets for Hopkins. Wow. I mean, just wow. I've run out of words. I've run out of superlatives to describe it. And I was incorrect. I thought Sarah Horn had already used her 2 timeouts. She will burn her second and final stoppage of play right now as the Statesmen on the brink of joining Johnson County in tomorrow night's semifinal. They lead it by 8, 23-15. They need just 2 more to move on to tomorrow night's semis. We'll take a short break and bring you back here as you are watching the NJCAA Division II Volleyball Championships on the NJCAA Network. Unbelievable. And we're back here to court number 2 in Cedar Rapids. Richard Bland, 23, Iowa Central, 15. The Statesmen need just 2 more points to set up their date with Johnson County tomorrow night over on court number 1 in the semifinals, with still a chance for a D2 national championship up for grabs. Just getting under that serve back row, McVeigh. Middle, Hayek on the attack, dug up high by Kaiser, and that'll hit the net, out of play. Cannot be played off the nylon separating the courts. That's the one area of the arena that cannot be played. Hayek will go back to serve. Her Tritons trailing by 7. Their hopes of a national title fading by the point. And now match point. Awolowo with that big crosser from the left. Richard Bland will have 8 match points to work with. 24-16, and it will be the transfer from Terra State, Kerrigan Durko, who followed along with her head coach, Stephanie Champagne, to join her in Petersburg, Virginia, trying to get Richard Bland for the first time ever to the semifinals. Steffes takes care of match point number 1. Caitlin Steffes now up to 9 kills, but hitting .086. Just has not quite been the same with that hitting hand thumb all taped up. McLean's checked in to serve. Overhead dig Harris. Durko wanting to go to Hopkins. Soft touch over the block, but Madlock was ready. Steffes roll shot dug by Kaiser. Durko, Hopkins, block back. There you go. Kaufman and Steffes take care of match point number 2. This is always the hardest point for any volleyball team, is trying to close out a win, especially in a situation like this. McLean, overhead dig Harris. Durko has to reach back for it. Sets it up for Awolowo. Her roll shot dug by the Tritons. Steffes crosser, it's wide, and Richard Bland is on to the semifinals. 25-14, 25-15, 25-18. The Richard Bland College of William & Mary Statesmen improved to 32-3 on the year, and will move on to face the top seed in all of Division II, the Johnson County Cavaliers. Iowa Central, they dropped to 35-6 on the season. That starting group for the Tritons loses their first match of the season. That group of 7 starters had not lost at all this season, but now they've got a 1 on the right side of that win-loss column. They will take on Grand Rapids tomorrow, right back here on court number 2 as they play in the 5th place match bracket as part of the consolation here in Cedar Rapids. So our semifinals are set, folks. Johnson County, Richard Bland, Parkland, Scottsdale. We are going to have a fun Friday right back here at the Alliant Energy Powerhouse in Cedar Rapids. We hope you will join us for it. Just a few final stats here before we sign off for the night. Richard Bland ends up hitting .365 as a team. Iowa Central .060 leading the way. Haley Hopkins with 14 kills hitting .632. Leilani Goggin 12 kills hitting .750. Iowa Central paced by the 10 of Caitlin Steffes at .079 in the efficiency department. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Our action gets started in the consolation bracket back here in Cedar Rapids. For the whole crew that made it possible here today, Nick Jackson producing, Tate Mullenkamp and Carson Connect on our cameras, I'm Dwayne Cook. You've been watching the NJCAA Division II Volleyball Championships on the NJCAA Network.